Next, we are going to be making our mint and green tea shower gel, and this is going to be our final recipe for this course. For this recipe, we are going to be using sodium cocoyl isethionate, or also known as SCI. SCI typically comes in a very easily airborne powder form, so make sure that you are using a respirator if that is the case, if you're using this ingredient, because it is very unpleasant to breathe in. Luckily, the SCI that I have with me here is not in a powder form, it's a granule form, so I'm not going to be using a respirator, but just so you are aware for future use. And our second surfactant is cocamidopropyl betaine, which is a super gentle surfactant and comes in a liquid form. So we are going to mix these two together. And usually when you make a body wash, you're going to be needing some sort of thickener to kind of make that more jelly consistency. But SCI actually acts as a thickener on its own. So another benefit of using this in your body wash is you don't have to have an additional thicker ingredient. And for this recipe, we have two separate phases. So phase A is all of our water-soluble ingredients, including our surfactants. And then we have our cool-down ingredients, including our preservative, which we're going to be using geogard ECT, and also chlorophyll for some green coloring, and our green tea extract. And for equipment, you don't really need anything else but your water bath and your temperature gun and pH meter and a beaker. So let's grab our beaker and get our scale ready. We are going to start by measuring out all of our phase A ingredients. I'm going to start by adding our glycerin in here. So for this batch, we are making a total size of 140 grams. And for our 14 grams. And for the glycerin, we're going to add 14 grams into our beaker. Just a little refresher, your glycerin will act as your humectant for this product, which helps to hydrate the skin. And following that, we are going to add our mint hydrosol. And for the hydrosol, we will be using 71.4 grams, and you can just go ahead and add that straight in. And just give that a little stir, make sure that the glycerin and water combines really well. And then we are going to add our cocamidopropyl betaine. And for this one, we are going to add 42 grams. And now that you've added your first surfactant, this product is going to start bubbling up and foaming very, very easily when you start agitating it. So make sure that you mix it really, really gently. No vigorous whisking or mixing. You can see it's already bubbling on the surface a little bit. Just make sure that everything is nice and incorporated. Set that aside. And then finally, we are going to add our SCI. And as you can see, this is more of a granule product versus, like I mentioned, it often comes in a very, very fine powder. So make sure to use a respirator mask to prevent it from going into your lungs, because that is very, very unpleasant, trust me. And we're going to be adding 8.4 grams of our SCI. I'm going to put the spatula aside here real quick. Just go ahead and add that straight in. We don't need to mix this up too much. Just give it a quick little stir with your glass rod here. Next up, we're going to put this in our water bath. And we want to make sure that everything is heated up enough so that every single piece and granule of the SCI is completely dissolved before we take it out of the water bath. Let's put that in there, and we'll come back when everything is dissolved. All right, so we can go ahead and remove our water phase from the water bath. Like you can see, every little gritty piece has dissolved in here from the heat. And we can just gently start stirring and mixing this up, making sure that everything is dissolved. And as you can see, it's getting quite bubbly on the top here as I'm agitating it a little bit. That's fine. The bubbles will dissolve once the product kind of calms down and settles a little bit. And next up, we can go ahead and add our chlorophyll, which will be our coloring agent for this product. And depending on how like deep of a green you want it, you might want to add a little bit more or less, depending on. And we will need 1.4 grams for this batch. Just gonna go ahead and add that. And we're gonna give it a little stir and it will turn into this beautiful, beautiful green color. All right, and let's check the temp on this. I said it's still pretty hot. So it's still at 65 degrees, so that's way too hot to be adding our preservative and green tea extract. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna set that aside and clean up a little bit and then come back in a few minutes once it's cooled down to below 40 degrees. All right, so our shower gel has cooled down. Let's just double check the temperature and make sure that it's, yeah, below 40 degrees. So just grab your spatula and give it a little stir. So as you can see, it has thickened up quite a bit and we have this really beautiful jelly consistency, and that's all thanks to the CSI surfactant ingredient that we added in here. So as you can see, we don't need any additional thickeners. This is the perfect shower gel consistency. And we are just gonna pop that back on the scale and move on to our cool down ingredients, which includes our Geogard ECT preservative and also our green tea extract. So for our green tea extract, we are going to add 1.4 grams. And again, green tea is a really amazing ingredient. It's super energizing. It's really high in caffeine and also a lot of antioxidants. So nice and energizing for the skin. Helps to improve blood circulation as well. Just gently mix that in there. Try not to agitate the product too much to prevent it from bubbling up. And finally, we can add our preservative. And the Geogard ECT, we will add 1.4 grams as well. And go ahead and mix that all in. All right. And now we just need to quickly measure the pH just to make sure that it's not too alkaline. When using surfactants typically tend to have quite a high pH. So you always want to make sure with these type of ingredients and formulations that the pH is not too high, that it's going to be sensitizing for the skin. And if you want to use a funnel to get this in here, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to try and wing it. And as you can tell, there is a little bit of bubbles in the product here still, but they will dissolve. Perfect. And there we go. And that is our mint and green tea body wash.